Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stamp and Chat Live. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you here from all around the world. Goodness, I almost forgot I was going live. I was on the other side of the building. I'm all out of breath. I looked at my watch or my clock, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm on in 1 minute. So I'm a little winded right now. It is great to see all of you here. Today, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to be making a shaker card, and I'm going to show you a technique called inlay die cutting, and it's really fun. I haven't done it on this kind of card before, so we're going to kind of experience it all together. So we'll see what happens. But before we get started, let's say hello to Tom. Hey, Tom.
Yikes.
I know. I walked in and you had already gone live.
I know.
I'm like, well, no, I'm not even back here yet. I'm all wind blown.
Yeah. Geez.
We had a bird in our warehouse today.
Oh, it was in today too?
Yeah, but it got out.
Oh, good.
Yes,
Yay.
yes. It's been living here for a couple of days. The poor thing kind of limped out. It must have been so hungry all those days.
Yeah. Well, that's good news. It made it out. Yeah.
So how are you doing, Tom?
I'm good. Running around today. Rode the bike in today. It's beautiful out.
I know I passed you.
Loving it. You did. Yeah.
I did. I whipped right by you.
Shot some gravel up in my face. Yeah.
Oh, well, I think maybe you have a word of the day for later.
Yeah, we got a word of the day for later.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. We are so excited. Oh yeah, Rena did my hair. Yep, she added a little bit more blonde to the front and trimmed it up a little bit. So yeah, it feels better. It felt better to wash it and play with it this morning for sure. All right. So the die set that I want to use today is this one right here. This is called First Class Floral, and we released this a while back, quite a while ago, but I thought it would be a fun one to use today. I haven't used it for a while, and I think it's going to work great for this technique. Now, if you don't have this die set, that's totally fine. Other dies that will work for this technique are the curved floral banner that we have. Also, that little freebie that was available last year for Black Friday weekend, that one would work, and lots of other intricate dies that you have in your collection. The idea, though, is you want to have a die that has some open spaces, so when you shake the shaker, that you'll be able to see them inside the open spaces. All right, so we're going to get started with a piece of white cardstock, and I happen to have one right here. Let me make sure that's the right cardstock. And then I think I'm going to do a little rainbow blend on the background here. No, actually, I think I'm going to do something that looks a little bit more like blues and greens, because we're going to cut this die out a couple of times and we're going to do some paper piecing as well. So let me grab my blending brushes. Whew, I am winded. Tom, I need to work out more or something, because running from one side of the building to the next should not wind me this much. I don't know.
Well, if you do that enough, then you'll get a workout.
That's true. That's true. Yes. All right. So I'm going to use a little bit of blue and green for this. You're not going to see a whole lot of this part, but I think it'll be good to kind of get a little blues and greens down here. What my goal is for this, just so you know what my plan is I want my envelope to have a little bit of a blue-green blend to it. And then I'm going to paper piece all of the flowers. if that makes sense. So we're just going to start with a little bit of a blue-green blend. So I'm going to start with Turquoise Sea. And welcome, everyone. I see lots of people coming. I think a lot of people are out of town right now. My Facebook feed is filled with my friends from everywhere. They're just everywhere right now. Very few people are home right now. So I really appreciate that you guys have decided to spend some time with me today, because I know it's a busy time of the year for a lot of folks. School's just getting out and people are traveling a little bit. So it's been a little quiet around here the last week, but I understand why. So I am using Turquoise Sea here, and I am blending a nice little coat of turquoise. Okay. And then I am going to work that up. You can see I'm reloading the brush, but I'm always starting at the bottom and then working my way up into the lighter parts of the card. That gives me a less streaky blend. Although for those of you who are new to Gina K Designs, if you have not tried our ink yet, I highly encourage you to do so, because you're going to find that our ink has a smoothing agent in it and it makes blending a dream. All right, so now we'll use a little bit of this green. Oop, I put it right in the blue ink. That's all right. We'll just rub that off and make sure it still looks green. Don't worry about being late. I was almost late too. Okay, that's still green. We're good. So now I'm going to use Lucky Clover, and I'm going to work some of that into this area as well. Okay. And I'm coming in from the side and working my way down into that blue. And see, I'm getting a nice blue-green blend right there. Oh, thank you, guys. And then I didn't even do my little, usually I go on Instagram and Facebook and do a little, hey, join us live. And I forgot to do that today too, because I was all involved in something back in our warehouse. Totally lost track of time. But I know everybody will find us on the replay if they forget. Okay, I'm going back over that line of demarcation with a little bit of turquoise. Now I can see that that is going to be plenty right there to show that blue and green blend in there. I'm not going to worry about this part up here because most of that is going to be covered. Let me make sure most of that's going to be covered. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do a little more green just to be safe. Or I could even go back to the blue and do a little fade of blue. Let's do that. Remember, I am winging it most often. So we're going to give this card a try and see what happens. So we're going to cut this die set out several times with some different colors. We'll see how that goes. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think that will definitely cover the whole thing that we want to cover there. All right, and if you're just joining us, the die set that I'm using is our first class floral die set. And I just wanted to do a little bit of ink blending there. Didn't need to do too much. Okay, so now I'm going to trim this panel down to about, let's see here. I'm going to trim it down to about 3 1/4 inches by 4 1/2 inches. And that's going to be behind my project for my shaker card. Okay, so that's totally fine. All I really need it to be is big enough to cover that envelope area. Okay, so now I'm going to cut a bigger panel out of white cardstock. I'm going to cut a panel that measures, first I'm going to cut it in half. And I'm going to cut a panel that measures 3 1/2 inches by 4 3/4 inches. So that's going to be my background panel. And then this is just going to go right on top of that. And that is going to be the background to my shaker. So when you look through this window, you're going to see these colors. Okay. So I am going to adhere these two panels together. Like this. And then I'm going to start my next step. So my next step is going to be to get another white piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut that a little bit bigger. Now, we could cut that out of any color that we want. So we could, let's see. There's a lot of different things we could do. We could make it a craft panel if we wanted. And then we could have this in white. I think that would look really pretty, actually. So let's make this a craft panel. So I'm going to cut a craft panel to measure. First, I'm going to cut it in half. And I'm going to cut this panel to be a little bit bigger. It's going to be 3 1/4 inches, 3 3/4 inches by 5. Now, if you wanted to cut these panels with Master Layouts 1, you could. And then let's get a different color back here since we're not going to be inking anymore. We'll just put this down so you can see the difference. Okay, and this is going to go on top. Now we're going to cut out our window. So I am going to get my die cutting machine, and I'm going to cut out a window from this craft piece of cardstock. So let's get the die cutting machine. Okay. And now I have to decide where I want this on my card. So if I want it up just a little bit higher, I'm going to just check and see how that looks. I think if I go up to about there, I'll still get some of that blue, a little bit of the blue, and a little bit of the green in there. So I think that will work. Okay. So I want to have it up a little bit higher because I'm going to leave room down here for a greeting. So I'm cutting this panel out, and this is going to give me the place where I'm going to do my inlay. Alrighty, let's cut that out. We want to make sure that's pretty straight. And if you're concerned, you can always use a little pixie tape on this. Zoom out. More than that, you must be watching on something really big. There. Okay. Okay, let's make sure there's room down at the bottom. I'm just going to tape that here. And I'm going to tape it here. Okay. And we'll cut this out. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, I think we did it. I got to be gentle about pulling this tape up because I don't want to tear my cardstock. This is the new and improved pixie tape. So it works really well. It doesn't tear your paper, but it does stick a little bit better than it used to. Okay, so now I've got my opening for my shaker card. And then that is going to go on top, but I'm not going to glue that down. You know what? I think I'm going to make my background a little bit bigger. So why don't I do that? I'll make my background a little bit bigger. I forgot how big of a die this is. I can use this one for something else, so I'm not going to worry about that. But I am going to increase the size of my background. And you know what? This is good because I actually want to move that blue up a little bit. So I'm going to cut a 3 1/2 inch white panel by 4 3/4 inch, which is what my background panel is. And that's going to fit just perfect. All right, we'll do that. Do our little ink blending thing again. Now that my brushes are all inky and I have a better idea of where I'm going with this, I got to get my blue going up a little bit higher this time. Okay. So this is the way we learn. We learn through trial and error. You can't picture, your little peanut brain can't picture. You know what? Mine's struggling a little bit too, but I think it's going to all work out. I know it seems weird, right? But it's going to look good. I am praying that it's going to look good. No, it's going to look good.
And what dye set is that again?
This is called First Class Floral. I want to look at this and make sure that my blue is up there. Okay, it is. I got some blue. I'm going to go a little darker with the blue up here. And then I'll get a little more green, in there. Ooh, your order just shipped? That's exciting. Yeah, we got slammed over the weekend. And then, of course, just like almost everybody, we have a lot of staff that's out of town too. So it's been crazy around here trying to make sure the orders get shipped out. And ooh, okay, a little lucky clover. Get a little green down there. And then we're going to go back and add a little bit more blue. Even if we're not going to see it, I just want it there for safety because I don't know exactly what's going to show through. And I don't know exactly what I want to show through yet. So by doing the whole panel, blue and green, at least we have color back here. So if we see something that looks really pretty with the color shining through, we can leave it. We don't have to piece over it. This will make sense. I know it doesn't make sense now, but it'll make sense. Okay. So there we have that. And now I'm going to look at that again. Much better. Okay. So that's going to be the look that we're going for. Now, our next step is to put some acetate because we need to make a window. So I like using this brand. This is the ThermoWeb Clear Designer Toner Sheets. Now, the reason they're called toner sheets is because you can actually buy these. And if you have a laser printer, you can print on this acetate. And then if you print with a laser printer, you can foil it. So they're called clear toner sheets, but I think they work great as shaker cards. You know, and if you really want to step up your cards, you could print something on here like little stars or something with a laser printer, foil them, and then have that as your shaker window. So there's a lot you can do with these. But you can just use regular acetate for this too. You don't have to use these toner sheets. But I really like them. So it's kind of my go-to. Now, I'm going to cut this in half first because I want to save this piece. And then I'm going to cut this to 3.5 inches by 4 3/4 inches. So I am making my window now. Now, one thing I want to tell you about these can be staticky. Any acetate can be staticky. So what I recommend is washing it first with a little soap and water. I'm just going to use my tidy towel just to wash over the surface of it. And that kind of removes the static from it. Just by getting it wet. And then I normally use a little, hand soap, something like that. But that will help prevent the sequins and stuff from being staticky onto your clear acetate. And now I am going to adhere this to the back of this panel and create that window. See that shiny window there? Okay. But I do want to make sure that I have this piece in the right direction. So we need to make sure that we can get our detailed one that's going to go on top of the window. And so we want to make sure that we don't have it flipped the wrong way. Now I'm going to adhere this around the perimeter here. So I'm going to use some tape here, up here. I want to get a little tape in here because we want it to stick everywhere. We want to make sure we have it down everywhere. And then I'm going to lay that sheet right on top to create my acetate window. And I'm just going to remove any tape. That's the beauty of Gina K Designs Tape Runner. You can run your finger over it and remove any tape that's outside of that window so it's no longer sticky anywhere. And now we have our little window. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to cut out a few of these. Let me grab this die. A few of these. So I'm first going to cut it out of white because I think white and then inlay it is going to be really, really nice. So I'll start with a piece of white cardstock. And this is going to create my panel that I'm going to inlay. Now I'm cutting this upside down on its back because I feel like I'm going to be able to get a better cut this way. And I'm just using our layering weight white. Yeah, by washing those acetate sheets, it makes a huge difference. An old-fashioned transparency, Kim, will totally work. That will totally work. So yes, go for that. If you have that laying around. I mean, some people will use their packaging. You know, you get like packaging from a die set, or they'll use that and they'll just stretch it and make sure that there aren't any wrinkles. Other people use plastic packaging from products that they get. It's, you know, it's a way to use stuff that you have. Okay, so I'm poking out all these holes because I want to make sure that I don't tear anything when I pull this out. Okay, let's see if that helps a bit. We'll try this. A little more. Boy, that's a truck. Can you guys hear that truck going by? My goodness. That sounds really loud. Okay, we're getting there. Got a lot of little things here to poke out. And I might leave those, just the color that's underneath. I'm not going to paper piece everything. If you did this outline in black, you could also color some of the parts because it wouldn't show on the black cardstock.
So Kim is asking, is there any reason on earth that an old-fashioned transparency can't be used for this?
Yes, I just answered that one.
Okay.
Yep, I said yes, absolutely you can do that. Use anything like packaging from, you know how like you buy things like a pair of scissors that are in a hard kind of plastic packaging? You could cut that down. It'll be a little thicker, but you could definitely use all of that.
All right, I'm right on top of things here.
In a dead space. Okay, so I'm just poking all these out, taking my time. We've got an hour. Okay. Oh, it sounded like an airplane went over at the same time as my truck. Yeah, I don't know. We're in an industrial park here, so, you know, it's not uncommon to have that sound of semis going back and forth. Okay. Tearing that a little bit. I could have run this through a second time, but it's all right. See if we can gently. Now, what would be really cool, and I think would make this stand out even more, is if we cut a second one, because then it'll give it a little texture. So let's do it. I know it's a little time consuming, but what the heck, let's do it. And I'll shim it. So this way it'll cut out even easier and faster. Just a couple little pieces. I'm telling you, it's easier to take the time to get those little pieces out than trying to struggle to get it to cut with those pieces in. And I know there's brushes and fancy things like that to get them out, but I don't know if it's me. I'm an old-fashioned girl. I just use this little pick. All right, I'm going to wipe that down. And I am using the Gina K Designs Layering Weight White. So here's another piece. So I'm going to put that on top there. And then I'll shim this just to make it a little bit tighter, just a tiny bit tighter. Just put a piece of cardstock on top. All right, here we go. Now watch it be too tight. Yeah, it'll just bump it up, right? It'll give us a little. Yeah, that's a little tight. God, I'm struggling. Well, hopefully this one will fall out. Where'd it go? Oh, it did. It just fell out and moved away. Okay. We can poke all these out real quick. Yeah, see how everything's just dropping out now? Just a little shim. Tightening it up a little bit. There we go. Okay. See how this comes out. Will it come out easy is the question. Ooh, I don't like to pull too much. If I don't feel it just popping out easily, then I like to help it along a little bit with the dots and the back. And that's what these dots are for. They're to get the inside pieces out and to also help move out these pieces. So, you know, you can get your pick under there and help it along a little bit. There we go. It's a very delicate die, but it's so worth it. It's just worth going a little bit slow just to get everything out because it's so pretty. I think this is one of my favorite dies that we have. And I know a lot of you have it because it sold out that release night when we released it. And we've had it back in several times since then. It's an older die, not brand new, but. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Great to see you coming in. It's coming out. Again, I just take my time. I don't know if it's the humidity too. I feel like in the winter, these just pop out so much easier than in the summer. And I made a comment on Facebook today that I promised I would not complain about the heat, especially in the winter in Wisconsin when I was freezing to death, but I complained about the heat today. It's hot. Wisconsin has no spring game at all. We go from, honestly, remember when we were watching Rena's dogs and we were telling you about that? That was like, what, 2 weeks ago? We were at night wearing coats. Freezing. And now it's like 89 degrees. There's just no spring game in Wisconsin at all. Okay, so now I've got 2 of these, and I'm going to layer those together with some Connect glue to create a nice little extra bump. Make that a little bit higher up. But I do have to get this out. I don't know which one it's on. Oh, it fell out. Okay. All right, so we're going to glue that together, and then we're going to cut a couple more things here. Let's just poke the rest of these out because I am going to have to cut a few more. So I don't know if you guys saw, but we have something new that we released not that long ago, and they're called shaker strips. And I'm going to use these today to make the shaker card. Now, if you don't have shaker strips, that's fine. You can use the foam tape. The big rolls of thermoweb foam tape will work as well. I just like these because they're very convenient to make a shaker card. You don't have to cut anything down. And I find that to be really delightful. I have to decide what I'm going to do here for these flowers because I feel like I want them to be a little more shady than they're going to end up being if I just cut this out of colored cardstock. But before we go any further, let's find some Connect glue here. And I have a couple bottles of Connect glue that I used at a class at Simon Says Stamp, and they weren't closed all the way during travel, so the caps need to be washed. Okay. So you can see I'm just using the fine tip bottle and I'm just doing tiny little dots all over this. It's very relaxing. And you know, I see a lot of times people in our group, somebody will say, oh gosh, I just lost my mojo. I don't know what to do. That's a great time to like die cut pieces like this and glue them together. Because then when you want to make a shaker card like this, you can make it in no time because you've got all these elements all ready to go. So, you know, when your mojo is gone, it's not always a bad thing because it's a great time to do these kinds of things and have them ready to go for when that mojo returns, and it will, it always does, with a bang, and you feel like really cranking out some cards. You can have a lot of these little elements all done and pieced together. So I think I got all this. And now we're going to carefully put these together. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom. And you do want this to be together as, you know, tight as you can possibly get it, because we're going to be laying that inside that open space on that shaker card front. So that looks pretty good. And then this is going to pop into this open space for the shaker card. So now you can see through the whole thing. You got it? See how this is coming along now? Okay. So I'm going to do that again. Glue all over the back. I'm not using a ton of glue here. I'm just doing it mostly, you know, you don't have to do it everywhere. Just do it in areas that you want to stick down that will at least hold that paper piecing in. So, and around the perimeter, you do want to get around the perimeter. So you can see what I'm doing here. Is my head in the way? I feel like my head's in the way. Let me back up a little bit. I'm slouched over in a very uncomfortable position here because I stand when I make cards on my lives. I actually stand most of the time when I craft. I know some people really, you know, relax and they sit and it's relaxing. But I'm so short. I'm only 5 feet tall. And when I sit, I feel like I'm a kid sitting at the big grown-ups table sometimes. And I don't get a good bird's eye view. So a lot of times I will stand when I craft. Okay. Now we're going to lay this down, trying not to get glue everywhere. So we're popping it in like a puzzle. Doesn't that look pretty already? It's just such a pretty little look. Okay. And then this will go behind it. If I can pick it up. This will go behind it so you'll be able to see through it. But I want most of the shaker to be in the envelope part, not in the flowers. So I'm going to paper piece some color onto the flowers, and I might leave the leaves because the leaves are kind of over the green, and I think that that will work. So let's do a little ink blending. I'm going to get another piece of white cardstock here. And I'm going to do some red and orange and pink ink blending. And I'm going to do it a little more haphazardly. I'm not going to do it kind of in a gradient going down. I want to get some red, some orange, and let me find my passion pink. Here we go. So these colors. I'm going to start with a little bit of red. We'll just do a little bit of red, like that. And then I'm going to hold the flowers up here. See how I've got a little red in there? Then I'm going to do a little orange. I say that wrong because I'm from Philadelphia. and I say orange, and everybody always laughs at me. I say, it's not orange, it's orange. But it's hard for me to do that. All right, so we have a little orange in there. What do you say, Tom?
I say apple.
Perfect. And then we're going to go with some passionate pink, and we'll get some pink in there. Pink is such a pretty add-on color. Okay. So I'm going to try to cut these flowers out so they get a little bit of the orange, a little bit of the red, and a little bit of the pink. I don't care if it goes off the edge. I'm not worried about that. I just want to have a Pennsylvania accent. Right. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. I have stopped saying water. And that's after many years, 20 years or plus, almost 30 years of living in the Midwest. I've started saying water instead of water. You know. Okay. Now we're going to cut. See, I'm not worried about anything except those flowers right there, because I want to paper piece these two right here. Did I move my plate? There we go. Okay, thank you, Misty. I will not give my regional accent a second thought. Because you're right. We're just sharing information, having fun. I'm going to flip this around. See how it didn't cut all the way through because I had it upside down or right side up? We'll put that little shim in there. We'll cut it again. If I had my Gemini out, it would have cut the first time because that is a super tight machine. But with this machine, sometimes, there we go, all cut out. Okay, so now, let me move this out of the way again. I don't want to lose any pieces. Oh, I didn't cut the heart in the right spot, but I can just add a little color to that, so I'm not going to worry about that. Oh, I lost some of it. Here we go. Here's part of it. And here's part of it. There we go. All right, so I'm going to poke these out so that I don't lose them. Like that. And then I'm going to glue these in to this part right here. So I'm just putting a little glue. You can see I'm not going all the way to the edge. You want me to zoom in a little bit more now? Since I'm not die cutting, so you can see this a little bit better. Let's do that. There we go. And you can actually use your jewel picker for some of these if you want. I'm going to pop these into place. And it should sink down a little bit in there. There we go. Love that. I just moved everything. Just dropping it down in there. Kind of like stained glass a little bit. Where does this go? Here it goes here. This big one down here, you can kind of tell where they go by the color blend. You can see it started a lot more orangey up there, and then it's getting pretty pink down here. Yeah, this pick and stick tool is great for paper piecing. Paper's so light that it just, even the bigger pieces pick up pretty nicely. Okay, so there we go. We've got that one done. Now we're going to do this one. Ooh, I lost a little piece there. Let's see. Is it in here? It's probably somewhere. Where did it go? We can always cut another one if we have to. Let's see how it looks first. But I think It's most likely on the floor somewhere. I could have been better about controlling that coming out. But let's get these in place first. We can always cut another one. I'm not too worried about that. I feel like it needs it though. That was a tiny piece, easy to lose. I don't see it in here, but maybe it is. Oh, it is in here. That's it right there. Tiny dot in there. Try not to squeeze too much. This is a super fun, relaxing thing to do. And again, even this part would make great busy work for, someone who is wanting to craft but kind of doesn't have mojo. You could make these little panels and then decide to turn them into cards later. There we go. And this little guy right here, see, we do need him because he is part of that petal. Okay. So now we've got that little bit, and see, that just leaves this bottom open for our shaker. See how all the colors the rest of it is gonna just pick up that green, but it's gonna be pulled away. Okay. Now this here, I really should have cut out a little bit better. I think what I'll do is I will just put my piercing tool there, and I will just add a little color to it. Like that. I think it's actually resting on glue. Oh, no, it isn't. Oh, look how cute that is. Can I use that for something? Okay, so now I've got a little pink here. That's a little wet, but I think that will be very cute in there. So let's pop that in there. If you put a piece of dryer sheet under the paper pieces, they stay. Oh, I didn't know that. All your comments are so great. I love the way you help each other and me. Oh, that's pretty in there. And see, by doing that double layer, I don't know how easy this is to see in real life, but they actually sink down more into it. So it feels a little bit, I don't know, a little better. Okay, so now we are going to figure out how we're going to do our shaker part. So obviously this needs to be away from the backing. But we don't want to do shaker material all the way around here and have to have a million sequins just to fill up to here. So we're going to start by using some of these shaker strips. Where are they? Some of these. And we're going to kind of outline just around here with these shaker strips. All right, Tom. So while I'm working these shaker strips around the outside of this card, these are really fun. Look at this. Look how easy this is. You just pull it. And then I can just put it like right here. And I'm going to cut it. A pair of scissors. The big thing about a shaker card is you want to make sure that everything's connected. You know what I'm saying? So you want to have it touching all the way around or the sequins will spill out. I know you guys know that, but maybe somebody that's new to card making might not know that. So we just don't want to give any escape routes for the sequins. So I think that'll be good. We've got a little window we're starting. Okay, so we're just going to go around, work our way around. I love the size of these strips. So, Tom,
Yeah.
Do you have a word of the day?
I has.
You has one?
I has. Okay, so word of the day for today. It's grilling season, right?
Yes, it is.
And boy, not always an easy thing to do. Let's see. Our word of the day, a phrase of the day in honor of grilling season starting is observation skills. Observation skills. So that's what you have
Oh my God.
if you are very good at keeping track of what's on the grill and not getting distracted so it burns.
My God.
You just keep track and cook things the perfect way. You watch it until you know exactly when to pull it off the grill and what heat strength to use. Kebab observation skills, word of the day.
It's great. I love it. Oh my gosh. Do you have to really stretch for that?
Stretch, well,
A little?
sounds like maybe a stretch. Sometimes you got to stretch.
You
for
do
word
have
of
to
the day.
stretch. You're right. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just putting this shaker stuff kind of haphazardly around. You just want to make sure it doesn't cross over the window anywhere.
Unknown caller.
Oh my goodness. Let's all take the call together for the spammer. All right, we're almost done and we get to fill. Aren't these strips nice though? Now this one, gotta cut it so that it fits right in there. So I'm just gonna put my scissors right up against it. There we go. Now we can't see any of that on this side, right? We don't see anything through there. And now we're gonna finish off around the perimeter with a little bit more. I'm not going all the way to the edge because I don't want to see it sticking out at all. But I am going to kind of fill in these areas here so we get some nice, it doesn't sink on the sides, you know? There's a little more than I needed. Kebabs. What was it? Kebab?
Kebab observation skills.
I love it. Now you can always use foam squares too. So if you have foam squares, it does take a little bit more because you got to cut them smaller, but you can go around the whole thing by cutting, you know, foam squares into small strips. I just like these shaker strips because they do make it easy. Going to be a lot of peeling in a minute. This I'm going to cut on an angle like that and like that. See if I can fit that in there. Okay, so I've got my backing, and so that's going to bring everything away from the front, but I've created a little pocket in there for the sequins. So now I'm going to use some of these micro disco ball sequins. I really like these. They're super fun. Okay. And I am going to put some micro disco ball sequins in here. And I want to check it. So I'm going to hold this up and flip it over to kind of see if I like where they are. So yeah, I think that looks really good. I like that.
I always love the shadows that you get in the shaker.
I know, it's so fun, isn't it? So when you hold the card up, you're going to get, you know, enough sequins, but you don't want to fill it up so much that it's solid sequin. You want to be able to shake it so that the sequins move. Okay. So now I'm going to begin the great peel. And, you know, you can push these up a little bit. That's totally fine. And any jumpers, we can always use our pick and stick tool to get rid of the jumpers before we finally put our back panel on. So I'm going to peel off all of these. Now, if you wanted to stamp a greeting, I should have said, stamp the greeting before you do all this. But I am going to actually probably put on a die cut greeting. And I think that'll just be easier for me since I didn't think of that ahead of time. But remember, I'm flying by the seat of my pants here. So once you see this, then you can plan a little bit better. I call this my practice card, what I make on these videos. It's my first card. And then I can go back and perfect the idea on my second card and realize what, where I should have kind of done something earlier. Got to make sure you get all these off. I think that's all of them. Okay. Now we're going to just poke these off. Now, if you have a tendency to get like sequins stuck where they're not moving, you can always rub the sides of your Masking Magic strips with some embossing magic powder because that gets rid of some of that sticky. However, you may end up with, a little bit of a cloudier looking acetate. So I should have moved those up. So when you do yours, make sure you put your scoop of sequins more in the center and away from the edges so you don't have to struggle bust like me. But let's just take a second here. I almost just put them everywhere. Okay, good enough. That'll work. Get rid of that one and that one. Okay, and that one. They're jumping. All right, now I'm going to place this on top, making sure it doesn't extend outside of my craft piece. So that's good. That should do it. Make sure you put a little pressure, light pressure, so this way the sequins don't drop away from that little window. See, they're just contained in that little window there. They're not going all over the place. That's so cute, right? And what's nice is because I washed that with the Tidy Towel, you see how they're just not sticking to the acetate at all. They're on the cardstock. And I like the way when you really shake it, they come up and sparkle through the leaves too. Can they see that, Tom? The little bit of sparkle through the leaves up here? Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's so cute. I really like that. Now, if you wanted to, for a card like this, now that I know the way I'm going to do it and the greeting, I probably would have used an embossing folder on here first, maybe the polka dot embossing folder, something like that. You could also do a light wood grain texture over the whole thing if you wanted. And I'll tell you a little trick. If you wanted to add it afterwards, just cut one of those plain panels and you can lay it over top as a mask, and then you could texturize the background. But we're just going to leave it plain today because this was the plan going forward. All right, so of course, I'm going to use a black piece here. And remember, this is just for the technique, not necessarily a spectacular card. We could jazz it up a lot more with texture and wood grain and all of that. But I really wanted to show you how to do an inlaid, kind of a reverse shaker, really, is what it is. Because there's, it's pretty flat on the top. These mail pretty well, too. Okay, so this card, this panel, I'm going to go up to 4 7/8. And I'm going to go even a little more than that. And the reason I'm going a little more than that is because normally it would just be 1/8 of an inch. But when you have something raised, it's a little harder to see the fine line. So by going just a little more than that, you'll actually be able to see that line going around the outside better. See what I mean? Okay. I know, shocking that I used black, right? And then I think this whole card is going to go onto a white card base. So let me get my big paper cutter here.
Mary Ann wants to know how you clean your cutter.
I use Gina K Design stamp cleaner for my cutter. and I get all the, yucky, gluey stuff off. And then I just use a little bit of Windex or something to get rid of the oily residue. And it does make it pretty clean. Like, see these little spots right here? They will just come right off with stamp cleaner. And on this little cutter, this just pops out so you can clean both sides of that. Let me back up a little bit so you can see that better. See, this just pops in when you're done. And then you just push these in. And then that's back. So you could take this off to clean it. Yeah, the little bit of a thicker black layer in this case actually makes it look very similar to the master layouts. But because it's raised, you can't get that real tight edge. So that gives you the illusion of the tight edge. Okay. And then we'll layer these two panels together with a little tape runner here on the back. And if there's anything sticky here, it'll attach to this, so you don't have to worry about that. Now I've got to like look right over this to make sure I have it right, because it's a little harder to see. I am on my tiptoes right now. Here we go. And you can just put a little pressure on that. And then that whole panel will go onto the white card base. Such a cute little shaker. And like I said, you can do this with other dies you have in your collection. They just have to have a detailed die. And like if you wanted to use the curved floral banner, you could make all of the flowers have the shaker part and then paper piece everything else. But this one I really love. I think it's super cute.
Is that on A2?
This is an A2, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then looking at the clock, I'm thinking we're getting a little bit close. So we could use, I have some of these already pre-cut. This would be a cute little, so very grateful. I don't know, some of these aren't cut very centered. We were kind of stressing at the event that we did. Oh, missing you would be so cute, wouldn't it? Just a little missing you right down here. Because it's a little envelope, like you're sending a little love through the mail. I'll zoom in here so you can see it a little better. That would be really cute. If you wanted to send a thank you card, you could make it into a thank you card. So very grateful. It would be a cute little birthday card. These are all the mixed messages, sentiment strips. So let's see. And even a congratulations card. If somebody is, just graduated, you could send them a little shaker card and then put a little gift card inside. So maybe we'll do this because there's so many graduations right now. Maybe we'll just do a congratulations one. I'll find one that's a little straighter. Ooh, I like this because this was cut out with one of the bigger dies. Oh, but it's got a little mark in it. I wonder if I can fix that with a black Copic marker. I like the extra black on that. I'm so picky about what to, you go through all the work and then you just want the absolute perfect greeting on there. Maybe that one. We'll do that. We'll do a little congratulations at the bottom there. Yeah, just a very simple little paper pieced shaker. And, it's a very clean and simple card, but it is a little bit more complex than just a regular card. Kind of like the greeting up high, maybe a little lower than that. I'm just moving it around because I didn't press it down yet. I think that looks pretty balanced there. Make sure it's straight. Okay. And so there is my finished card with my little disco ball sequins. I love the disco ball in there too because they're so cute and they're so delicate. All right. So inlaid shaker card. There we go. See, even the camera's at a weird angle. If I hold it up a little bit better, you can see how the black outline.
Oh yeah, it looked off at the bottom.
Yeah, it's not really that. It might be a little off, but the camera's kind of tilted, kind of weird. Mm-hmm. So you get that shadow, but it's not bad.
Optical delusion.
Delusion, yeah. We'll just pop it up like that.
All right.
There we go. There we go. Looks perfect. So who are we sending this to? We got to send this to somebody.
All right, cheesy drum roll for the giveaway. Here we go. Ba-ba. All right, we're giving this away to Joyous in Christ.
Yay!
Joyous
Congratulations.
in Christ.
All you have to do is send your name and address to info@ginakdesigns.com and we will get that out to you. Oh, this was so much fun. Well, everybody, I hope that you enjoyed this technique and I hope you'll give this one a try. Okay. Well, this was a lot of fun, everybody. Well, Tom and I'll be back with another 5-minute card video this weekend. And I guess we'll be back again on Tuesday night with another Stampin' Chat Live. A lot of you have been asking when our next release is, and it's going to be on Tuesday, June 13th. And we are going to be doing it premiere style because it's my daughter's birthday, Alicia's birthday. And we will be celebrating her birthday that evening, but we still wanted to do our release party. So we're going to have it all pre-recorded, and we will be in the comments chatting with you live on Tuesday night, June 13th. So we hope that you will join us. You will, if you're watching from Facebook, you'll have to come over to YouTube to join us for that. But that shouldn't be too hard. You don't even have to have a YouTube account. But if you want to comment and chat, then you do have to log into your YouTube account, and then you'll be able to do that. All right, everybody. Well, thanks again so much for joining us. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.